How did that work? 5 minutes of focusing on the breath. Who succeeded in keeping his mind on the breath 5 minutes without thinking? No one? Well, we got a professional here.
No, I can concentrate. I mean, I'm not really concentrated. Just
Yeah.
I'm with my breathing.
Yeah.
But then, of course, the thoughts came.
Yes.
And the first one was, I don't know, somehow. I don't wear rakusu because I'm not in the temple.
Yes.
Or, you know, very
Yeah.
often at home.
Yeah.
So it was like something, oh, rakusu.
Yeah.
And that was okay.
Yeah.
And then there's another one. Yeah, how I remembered Nyogan because of
Yeah. Yes.
connection.
Yeah. Yeah.
My fellow monk. And then the last one, and then I come back. And then the last one was how good it is to sit in a group.
So when you realized you were thinking, what were you doing next?
I'm not, intensely thinking, so it just remove myself a little bit more from the thinking, and you realize you're thinking, and then it goes. For me, 5 minutes for me it's not a lot. I slowly really come into it, and then I become more settled, and I will not really follow the thoughts that much anymore.
I see.
Yeah.
Peter, how did it go for you?
It went very well for 4 minutes.
4 minutes?
Not totally, but it came. I was thinking, and I caught it within a second.
Yes.
Back.
Yeah.
And then the last minute, the thought that came in was a fundamental existentialist thought of mine, that a recurring one, and I got carried away. So live on. So
Good,
it depends
good.
on seems to depend on the intensity of the thought. Whether I can quickly go back or whether I'm lost.
How did it go for you?
Me?
Yes.
There are many thoughts or feelings in my head. So
Yes.
it was not easy to focus on breath.
Yes. Yeah.
But I feel very peaceful.
Yes.
Yeah.
When you realized, oh, there's thoughts in my head, what did you do? Like you were sitting, you felt peaceful, but there were many thoughts in your head.
I tried to let them go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How did you do that?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. But what can I say? Just I tried.
Yes.
And I think it was gone.
Okay.
At the end of the year.
Okay. Yeah. Welcome. Did you come to the other workshops, or is this your first time?
My first time.
Okay, great. You have any experience with meditation?
Yeah. A few
Okay.
times, yeah.
Oh. So for 5 minutes we tried this one, focusing on the breath, but then without realizing you're gonna start thinking, but at one point you realize I'm thinking. So at that point you should let go of the thought and return to the breath. How were these 5 minutes for you?
I don't know how many of the 5 minutes I got, because I got here a bit late. But the minutes that I got, I think I went through most of the process.
Okay, okay. How often?
It was a loop, so a few times.
A few times, yeah. Good,
Yeah.
good.
But I think I managed to return to my breath a few times.
Yeah. Good, good. How was it for you?
私は今の5分間で
ええ
腹式呼吸しながら
ええ
吐く息で自分の体を緩める力を
はい
抜くことをやってました。
はい、はい。
時々変な考えがピヨンと出てくるので、また吐く息に集中して体を緩めることをやりました。あと
なるほど
緩みきってないです。
はは。じゃあうまくいったんですか？
はい、多分そうだと思います。
はい。 This kind of 5-step approach to mindfulness is, I think, quite common approach that you can find in this or similar ways, for example, in books. And if it works for you, that's great, but I've the feeling that some people sometimes misunderstand mindfulness as this. If you focus on the breath, you're mindful. And if this happens, then, well, you're lost, or the mindfulness is lost. And in a way that's true also in our daily life. For example, right now I'm writing on a book, I sit on the computer, I'm looking for some word or something, I do some research, I look something up on Wikipedia, and then basically the real life version of this is happening. I go down various rabbit holes, and after 1 hour I realize, well, but I was writing a book. I'm far away from the topic of what I've been writing on. So this happens, and you're not at your task anymore, but you realize I'm thinking. And the interesting thing is happening here. A lot of people, when they reach this 3rd step, oh, I was thinking, they think that, how do you say? In Japanese, you would say, shippai shita. I did a mistake. I did something wrong. I did it wrong. At step 3, you say, oh, I thought I was meditating. I thought I was mindful, but again, it didn't work. Again, I did a misstep. So people here almost, they feel a little bit ashamed of themselves each time they reach step 3. And there's also some people, sometimes when you ask them, how did it work? Oh, it was fine for me. There were no thoughts. Because you don't want to feel bad for yourself. You want to be a good boy, a good girl. It worked 5 minutes. Somehow we have difficulty with this step 3. But actually, when we talk about mindfulness, there's 2 sides of mindfulness. One is focusing, concentration. And the other side of mindfulness, in Japanese you say Kizuki. Kizuki means to become aware of something, to realize something, to have a small realization. For example, you realize that you left your bag somewhere. Of course, you didn't do it on purpose, but then on your way home, you realize, oh, I left my bag at work. That's Kizuki. And this word is used for translating mindfulness in Japanese. You also probably know the Japanese word kiotsukete. Be careful. For example, when you send your kids to school in Japanese, you would say kiotsukete terashai. Kiotsukete means to also be mindful, to be focused, concentrated, but it's something different from kizuku. Kizuku, you can't do that. You can't tell yourself, kizuite ne. It happens. I lost my bag. Or whatever. You can tell yourself when you cross a road, you look left, you look right, you look left again. That means kiotsukeru. But then, just when you wanted to cross the road, there's somebody coming from behind, and you realize that. That's kizuku. And this one here, that's the kizuku aspect of mindfulness. Something, it happens. You can't tell yourself, I'm going to do it. This is, you can say, well, I'm going to try. I do my best to focus on your breath. That's important, but then this is maybe even more important. For several seconds, maybe even half a minute or 2, I was thinking, and I didn't realize it, but now I realized, I'm back in the moment. So rather than feel kind of ashamed of yourself, oh, I was thinking again, I need to let go. Actually, in this moment is a small, in Zen we say satori. You can't make a satori experience, but it happened. And well, the nice thing about the trains here, that they often do this. They bring you back into the moment. When you lost track of your breath, you started to thinking, but then the trains come and, oh, I was here trying to meditate. So this is something that's totally underrated. People don't understand how important this step is. I'm thinking. I wasn't in the moment. And another thing that's a little bit difficult is this fourth step. So now you tell yourself, I let go of my thoughts. But the problem is, how do you do that? I also often talk about letting go. But some people think it's something that you have to do, like step 3. Now, I'm gonna let go. But that's impossible. It's like trying to not think about the pink elephant. I'm letting go of the pink elephant. So how do you let thoughts go when you realize that what you're thinking? I think most of you know how to do it. Basically, you do that by returning directly. You don't have to first let go and after that you return to the breath. You let go by returning directly to your breath, to the awareness of sitting here. Or what you can also do, and I think I heard that a little bit from what Anjin-san said, rather than say this is a kind of black and white thing that either I'm concentrating on my breath or I'm thinking. Often it's a kind of a gray thing. You are with the breath, but still in the background there are thoughts. And sometimes your attention goes to this background music and you keep a loose track of the breath. But it's not that you have to kind of switch off the music to get back to the breath. You can leave the thoughts there. There's still thinking going on. But you just move a little bit more back. You stay a little bit closer with the breath. So it's actually not that you kind of have to switch off the thoughts. Although in the beginning, well, it helps to focus only on the breath and forget the thoughts. But actually it's not a kind of this or that thing. It's kind of you're moving in between. The thoughts are always there. They stay with you, but they stop being a problem. It's not that you couldn't be aware of the breath and still allow the thoughts. So one thing that's important is when we talk about letting go, it's not something that you need to do. And I often get this feedback from people that have meditated for a couple of months, even a couple of years. And they heard from their teacher, for example, myself, Zazen means to let go of yourself. And they tell me, I've been doing this for 6 months now, for 2 years. And still, I can't let myself go. Well, because you try to let yourself go. There's this idea, I need to let go of myself, of my thoughts, whatever. No. So what I say in this situation, forget about letting go. Forget about letting go. Do what you do in that moment. For example, when you're cooking in the kitchen, and even then thoughts come up in your mind, although usually it's not so much as when you're sitting because you're busy with whatever you're doing. But there's thoughts in your mind. If you tell yourself, now I need to let go, while you're cooking, while you're cutting the carrot, probably you're going to cut your finger. Rather than telling yourself, I need to let go, I need to be in the moment, just cut the carrot. In the case of Zazen, sitting, just sit. You don't even have to remove the thoughts, but return to the actual sitting. So you could say you could actually skip step 4. If you realize I'm thinking, be thankful for that realization. That's the moment mindfulness happens. That's something, it's like a gift, this realization. Oh, I was off. And rather than tell yourself, now I'm supposed to let go of these thoughts, just return to the breath, get closer to the breath. Maybe most important point is don't be embarrassed when you, how do you say? Ertappen. How do you say in English? Ertappen. Catch yourself while you're thinking. When you realize, I was thinking. Don't be ashamed of yourself. Don't be embarrassed. Maybe we try it once more, another 5 minutes. Maybe you see a little change. So maybe you did it already the first time, but this time, whenever you realize this, don't think that you make a mistake, but rather enjoy this moment of mindfulness where you thought you were watching your breath, but there's actually a thought in your mind. And don't tell yourself, now I need to let go of that, but just return to the breath. And if it's possible to do that without switching off the thought, the thought is still there, but you're really with the breath, you can do that. Or if that's kind of difficult, it's an either or situation, just return to the breath until the next thought comes popping up.